Fort Collins has some of the best gravel riding in Colorado, and FoCo Fondo encompasses not only that great riding, but much of the fun cycling community that exists in and around this northern Colorado town. In this video, we're going to walk you through the 5 courses and tell you about some of the things that are on tap for the FoCo Fondo weekend, including bike demos, microbrews that you can only get this weekend, and some of the local businesses that are coming out to join the party. Today I'm out here riding with Whitney and Zack Allison, the Fort Collins residents who have hosted FoCo Fondo since 2016, and Texas transplant Katie Candace, who raced the event last year, and we'll get her take on what these wonderful roads are like. Come along for the ride.
Riding my helmet straight.
Helmet is straight.
Great.
Looking sharp. Quiet on set, please.
What I think is special about riding and racing gravel in Fort Collins is the difference in all the terrain and pavement and surface types. So what we're riding right now is hardly gravel, it's just treated, mag chloride, super smooth road. You'll find a bunch of actual legit gravel, deep B roads. You'll find some double track, you'll find a mud pit here and there. And then on the 118-mile route, we'll go up to 8,000 feet and you'll have alpine dirt and rocks, and just the varying terrain I think is one of the coolest things in any given single ride.
So we are out here on a section of course that is on the 30, the 60, and the 100 and the 118. Additionally, we also have a 12-mile route that's mostly on paved bike paths and some light crushed gravel in town, and that one's really family friendly or intro to bikes friendly. A lot of our courses are super smooth, super fast gravel, as you can see in Ben's video, with a couple of B-road sections, and the number and intensity of the B-road sections increase with each course. So the 60 has a couple of sections, the 100 has a few more, and the 118 has a bunch.
The 118 is the epic route, so it has a lot of climbing. That's where the cash payout is. That's where the bolo tie times are earned. If you're looking to win a bolo tie, it's by time. So for men, you have to get back to the finish line by 1 p.m., which is with a 6 a.m. start, 7-hour ride time. So that includes stoppage time. It's a hard cutoff for the bolo ties at 1 p.m. For women, it's 7 hours and 30 minutes. So 1:30 p.m. for non-binary, there's an extra 15 minutes. For single speeds, there's an extra 45 minutes. So you can do the math on that. All that information is on the FoCo Fondo website under the FAQ section for when you're planning your race.
One thing I love about these roads is how smooth they run when they're treated with mag chloride. Smoother than pavement. Check it out. But of course, variety is the spice of life, and the surface does change throughout the day depending on the course. I've done this event on a gravel bike and on an all-road bike with 32mm tires. As with a lot of gravel events, how technical it is, how tricky it is, depends on how fast you go. So if you're feeling cautious, just going slower will make it less technical and perhaps feel safer. And then if you're racing it, take it as fast as you feel comfortable doing. There are bits of washboard. Today I've got a 45mm tire up front and a 40 in the rear. 45 would probably be overkill for the race, but.
I love tire talk. So what I would run if I got the honor to race FoCo Fondo, which I don't think I'll ever do, I would run a 36 Volpine, something that is really smooth tread, really fast, racy tire. There's not a lot of sharp rocks. There's not a lot of things to flat on, so you can go with a pretty light casing. Something like a 36 or a 40 Volpine, depending on your riding style. I don't think anyone would need anything larger than a 40. And then it's all generally really fast gravel, so a really light, fast casing is going to be the way to go. Don't need a big gravel bike. I'm riding the Envy Mog today, and that can clear up to 50s. That's definitely overkill for something like FoCo Fondo. So an all-road bike, it's been done many, many times on a road bike. Try and fit the biggest tire you can if you're on a road bike. If you can fit a 30 or 32, you're going to be fine. and just kind of mitigate those 2-track and loose sectors.
Now right here, this is the start of the first pinch point of the day. One of the trickier spots of the day for the 60, the 100, and the 118. For the 60 and the 100, this is probably the most technical spot of the whole day. How technical? Well, again, depends on your speed and depends on conditions. Right now, it's pretty dry, so we're not slipping off. Who knows what race day, July 21, will hold. If it's wet, could be interesting. Regardless, this is a good place to be towards the front of your group if you're thinking about positioning. If you're thinking about just finishing the day, just keep this in mind when you come to One Tree Hill on the 60, the 100, and the 118 mile courses. And once you're at the top, you're not done. Got some 2-track to roll. And this isn't too rowdy. Your speed will determine how technical it is. If you're feeling cautious, just leave yourself a little extra space between you and the, and the rider in front of you. Note this stuff in the middle is a little loose. We're gonna go up on the side. See how different this feels. Oh, much better. In addition to watching out for yourself, you gotta watch out for riders like me up here who may take questionable line choices and then change lines without warning. So again, just good reason to give the rider in front of you just a little extra space. So Katie, you have ridden and raced bikes all over. What's it like to ride gravel in Colorado?
It's one of the best places ever. We just moved here 2 weeks ago and it's almost specifically for that. Don't tell my boss.
What was the race like for you last year? Was it a big group for most of the time? Did it break into small groups?
You know, it was pretty spicy at the start. But then once we hit the gravel, obviously it's on pretty quick. And we got funneled into the double track. And so things kind of split up and splintered from there.
For folks who have not done a gravel race before, would you recommend this as a good first-timer event? And if so, why?
For sure. Well, I think for one thing, the variety of distances that are offered. So I believe it's 12, 30, 60, 100, and 118.
Correct.
I don't know if I'd go all in on the 118, but you know, send it if you want to. It'll be fully supported too. The aid stations were phenomenal last year, not only with like food and drinks and snacks, but also entertainment. There were a lot of people out here just supporting or dressed up, and it just had good vibes all around.
The dude dancing in a hot dog costume.
Yeah, exactly.
Way out on the mesa.
Yeah, why not?
I think the toughest thing about FoCo Fondo can be the weather. So we are at about 5,000 feet, which means that the sun is a little bit more intense, and so the heat can feel pretty intense. And so it's really important that you come heat acclimated. We have provided some resources for that for riders so that they can be best prepared for the day.
You have aid stations throughout the course. What can folks expect to get at said aid stations?
At our aid stations, we have hydration mix from First Endurance, as well as their liquid shots. We got lots of treats from Bobo's, a lot of your standard Costco treats, lots of water, Cokes, and this year some of the aid stations will even have refrigerated trailers.
You can get in a refrigerated trailer? What's in a refrigerated trailer?
I think it's gonna allow us to keep all of the drinks a lot colder, and it can even become a freezer trailer. So in theory, our goal is to be able to have enough ice for every single rider, not just the people at the front. The most fun thing about FoCo Fondo is a little bit more of a concept. I think that the race and the ride are definitely like the central part of the activity, but a lot of the weekend is just about coming together and crossing circles and coming together as a community.
Zack and Whitney spare no expense. Every square centimeter of the road is graded right before the event. Okay, that's not entirely true, but a lot of these roads are quite well maintained. Now, a lot of gravel races, by definition, are out in the country, in farm fields. One cool thing about FoCo is that it starts from a proper city, just on the northeast corner of the city. So it's easy to get out on the farm roads, but also to get back into town, where it finishes at the world famous New Belgium Brewery, where in addition to all the delicious libations, you've got a variety of choices of goodies there at the brewery, and then close at hand in downtown Fort Collins.
So your race entry does include a race day meal that's provided by Lick Skillet Catering, which is a local company here in town. And they'll cover all of the common food allergies and restrictions, so your vegans and your gluten-free friends. We have lots of amazing food. The nice thing about the venue actually is that New Belgium is less than a mile from Old Town, and so you can literally walk or ride from the venue, and there's tons of restaurants. Special shout out to Rio Grande Mexican Restaurant. They've been a longtime supporter of cycling for over 20 years. All sorts of teams and lots of professionals have come out of that program, so I definitely give a consideration of going there to celebrate your ride.
And arguably the best margaritas in the state of Colorado.
Yeah, Tres No Mas.
Every day starts and finishes at New Belgium. There's multiple days. So Saturday we have a large outdoor festival. There will be beer on Saturday at the tap room. There's a lot of beers at the tap room that don't leave the brewery. So make sure that when you get thirsty, you'll get your beer ticket at the expo, check out all the brands, interact, and then come check out the special beers at the tap room on Saturday. Sunday morning, event day, the 118 mile route leaves at 6 a.m. and then every hour following that for each subsequent course. And then you make it back to the brewery, and there's less vendors, some vendors, more of a hangout space. So we hope that everyone can have a chair. No one wants to stand after racing anything from 118 to 12 miles, no matter what distance you're doing. And then grab your fat tire, grab your beer from the finish venue, and just hang out.
One more hard question for you, sir. What's your go-to beer at New Belgium?
Ooh, I'm gonna catch some flack for this one. My go-to beer at New Belgium is Triple. I like to start hard and taper off from there. It's also one of their original Belgian ales. As a brewery called New Belgium, gotta try and start at the Belgian ales at New Belgium. They're all a little bit stronger and a little bit spicier, but Triple is definitely my go-to. And then after Triple, Fat Tire, strong Fat Tire for sure.
You have any idea what these special releases will be for the event weekend, or we have to just like show up and see what
That's a great question, yeah. So I don't know what they'll have. Right now they have a couple wild ales. They have a fruited wild. Wild ales are kind of a wild yeast. They have a couple Brett beers. They have a lot of sours. They brew a lot of beer here that doesn't get very far from the brewery that are finished in fruiters and in like barrel aged beers. So that's a huge benefit to be able to make it to the brewery, right? Is like everyone's like, oh, I've had Fat Tire, I've had a Voodoo Ranger, I've had these beers, and it's like that's what's in the case at your liquor store, your 7-Eleven or whatever, but you got to show up to the brewery to get the good juice.
Look forward to doing that. Thanks, Zach.
Cheers.
One of the things I love about gravel events is that not only do you get to check out the area on the bike, but you get a chance to investigate the town or city off the bike. Fort Collins, as a cycling crazy town, is absolutely worth spending a few days getting to check out, whether you're on foot or on townie or on your gravel bike. It's a brave new world. Let's check out Brave New Wheel.
Johnny, what's the timeline on that drop, or you think?
In a town like Fort Collins, almost everybody's got a bike, whether or not they're just a, once in a while commuter, just do, a couple things here and there, or if they're riding every day, training or just commuting, or, who knows. But it's a good spot for bikes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to ride.
Yeah. You might be familiar with Topo Designs, but did you know it's a Fort Collins business? I did not.
So Topo was started by my friend Jed Rose, lives here in town. He had been working some corporate jobs over the years, for everything from medical illustration to a stock footage house, and got a little tired with it and bought a used sewing machine and figured out how to make some bags. So it kind of turned into this. Bags, accessories, travel packs, apparel, some bike accessories. We got the mini bike bag, super popular. Bike frame bags, all of these made from recycled nylons, super weatherproof.
So the Fort Collins Old Town might look familiar if you come visit here. The Old Town area is what Disney World was actually modeled after.
Did not know that.
Looks nice with the...
I love Fort Collins for a lot of reasons. It is very bikeable. It's easy to get around. There's trails. I live on the south side of town, but I can get all the way downtown to the shop on a bike trail. Just have to ride through a couple stoplights. That's no big deal. It's pretty awesome. I also can get to, I'm a mountain biker, so I can get to the trails just out of town right after work. You know, a lot of places you can't do that. You have to have a day off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think our size is pretty awesome. We're kind of in that sweet spot where we still feel like a small town. The bike community, everybody knows each other, but we have a lot of access to things like great restaurants, you know, big cities down in Denver, all the concerts, that kind of stuff.
What was the inspiration for starting Aikens?
I went to school for fashion design, and I always wanted to design clothes, but then didn't really know which direction I wanted to take, and just finally was like, hey, I can design stuff that I want to wear every day for the things I like to do. So started that way. My mom was an art teacher as well, so the graphic design part of it led into the screen printing and all that kind of thing.
And where is this stuff made? I see in the back that the hats are made right there.
Yes.
At least some of the hats are made right there.
Yes, so this is actually a recent change. It all used to be made right here up until January of this year. So now we still make it here in town. It's right down the street. We have a separate production space, so that's where I just rushed over from.
Okay.
But yeah, we do all of our design and screen printing here in Fort Collins. We make all the knit hats. We do all of our laser engraving. All that kind of stuff. So we make as much as we can right here in Fort Collins.
Alex, I've got some hard-hitting questions for you, sir. Where are we, first of all?
We're at Bonfire Effect outside the old drunk tank. Back in the day, this is Fort Collins' original drunk tank. So if you got too drunk, the fuzz would put you in this box for until you sobered up.
Now the box is storing aid station signs. Last year you were a hot dog, were you
I
not?
was a hot dog. I'm a grown man dressed in a hot dog suit yelling at everyone, hot dogs! Get your hot dogs! And you'd be surprised how many people wanted a hot dog while racing in 100-degree heat.
Even the coffee shops here in Fort Collins are cuckoo for cycling. Check out Bean Cycle, which has basically a de facto cycling museum hanging on the wall. FoCo Fondo, it's July 21st with the Expo on Saturday, July 20th. I'll be here all weekend, and I hope to see you here in Fort Collins, Colorado.